battlefield was silent now. The war between humans and aliens had ended weeks ago, but the scars of destruction remained everywhere. Broken machines, burned-out ships, and shattered buildings stretched for miles like the bones of a dead giant. Smoke still rose from cracks in the earth, and the wind carried the faint smell of fire and ash. A single human walked carefully through the ruins. His boots crunched over glass and twisted metal. His armor was scratched and dented, a sign that he had seen too many battles already. He carried a rifle, but his eyes were sharper than the weapon. He scanned every shadow, every corner, every ruin. Even though the war was officially over, danger never truly ended in a place like this. The silence pressed against his ears. It was too quiet, unnaturally quiet, as if the world itself was holding its breath. He slowed his steps and listened. For a moment there was nothing, only the whistling of wind through broken steel. Then, he heard it. A sound. At first it was soft, almost too faint to notice. A voice, trembling, weak, carried on the wind. It was not the cry of a beast, it was not the voice of a soldier. It was something else, something small, a child. The human froze. His hand tightened on his rifle. A trap? Raiders often used recordings of children to lure soldiers into ambushes. But this voice felt different. It wasn't mechanical, it wasn't false. It was raw, it was real. Help, please. The human turned slowly, following the sound. His heart beat faster. He stepped over a collapsed wall and moved deeper into the ruins. The voice came again, clearer now. Help me. From the shadows of a burned-out shelter, a figure appeared. Small, fragile. The human raised his rifle in reflex, aiming at the shape. His finger hovered over the trigger, then his breath caught. It wasn't a trap. It wasn't a raider. It was an alien cheese. Her skin was pale, glowing faintly in the dim light, almost like moonlight reflected on water. Her eyes were large, glowing silver, filled with both fear and hope. She was thin, too thin, her clothes torn and dirty. She looked no older than 10 in human years. The human hesitated. He had fought aliens before. He had seen them kill his comrades. He had been trained to fear them, to see them as enemies. But this child looked at him not with hatred but with desperation. Please, she whispered, stepping closer. Her voice trembled, but her eyes did not. Human, help me. The soldier lowered his rifle slightly, though not completely. His instincts screamed at him to stay cautious. Why should I help you? His voice was hard, steady, but inside he was unsettled. The child's lips trembled. For a moment she looked as if she would cry, but instead, she clenched her small fists. Her words came out broken, rushed, but full of fear. They took her, my sister. They will hurt her, please. I cannot save her alone. I have no one else. The human stared at her. A part of him wanted to turn away. This wasn't his war anymore. His duty was done. The peace treaty had been signed. What did it matter if one alien child begged for help? And yet, another part of him, the part that still remembered what it meant to protect, to stand for something more than survival, would not let him walk away. Still, he had to be careful. Where is your sister? He asked. The girl's eyes widened, shining brighter, almost glowing with hope. She took a shaky step closer. Captured. Raiders took her. They take children. They will use them. Please, you are strong. You can fight them. Please, save her. The word raiders sent a chill down the human's spine. He knew of them. Outlaws, scavengers, monsters who thrived in the shadows after wars. They had no allegiance, no code. They would capture anyone, human or alien, for experiments, for trade, for weapons. The girl's voice cracked now. She fell to her knees, her small hands pressed together in front of her. Please, human, you are all I have. Help me save my sister. The soldier looked down at her. The world seemed to hold its breath again. His training told him to leave. His mind told him to ignore her. But his heart told him something else. Before he could answer, a sound ripped through the ruins. Heavy steps, metal grinding against stone. The soldier snapped his rifle up, eyes narrowing. In the distance, through the smoke, a massive shadow moved. The ground shook with every step. Not human, not raider. Something worse. The alien child gasped, terror flashing across her face. She grabbed the human's arm, clinging tightly. They are coming, she whispered, her voice trembling with dread. If we do not go now, they will take me too. The soldier's jaw tightened. The choice was no longer simple. It was no longer about whether he wanted to help. It was about survival, for both of them. He looked down at the child clinging to his arm. He looked at the dark shadow rising in the distance. The silence shattered. Stay close, he muttered, pulling her behind him as he prepared his rifle. The story had begun. The ruins echoed with the heavy steps of the unseen creature. The soldier's grip tightened around his rifle and the alien child clung to his arm, trembling. Smoke drifted past them, carrying with it the sharp smell of burning metal. "Stay behind me," he whispered again, eyes locked on the shifting shadow. For a moment, the shape lingered at the edge of the broken street, huge, metallic, inhuman. Its head turned slowly, searching. Then, with a grinding sound, it moved away into the fog, vanishing among the collapsed towers. The child let out a shaky breath, her silver eyes wide with fear. "That was one of them," she whispered. "Raiders' machines. They search for survivors. Children. Me." The soldier lowered his rifle slightly, but he didn't relax. "If they're here, we need to move. They'll sweep the ruins soon." The girl's voice cracked. "Please, human. My sister. She is not far. They will hurt her. They will." The soldier cut her off, his tone sharp. "Why should I help you? Why should I risk my life for you and your sister?" Her eyes filled with tears, but she held his gaze. Her small body shook, yet her words were steady. "Because you are human, and humans are strong. You fight with courage. My people fear you, but my sister told me, humans also protect. She said, if I ever see a human, ask for help." The soldier's jaw clenched. He had heard many things said about his kind: warrior, destroyer, invader. But protector? That was a word he had not heard in years. The girl's hands balled into fists. She stepped closer, desperate. "My sister is special. She has a gift. The raiders know this. They will use her. They will turn her into a weapon. Not just against us, but maybe against you too. If she dies, if they break her, the war will begin again. Please, only you can stop them." The soldier studied her face. She was terrified, yet her voice carried a spark of determination. He could see it in her glowing eyes, the will to fight for family, even when the odds were impossible. He looked away, scanning the ruins. "Where is she?" he asked at last. The girl's expression lit up with a flicker of hope. She pointed east, toward the collapsed remains of an alien research dome. "There, they built cages inside the old labs. That's where they keep her." The soldier frowned. He knew the place. It wasn't far, but it was dangerous ground. Broken bridges, flooded tunnels, and raider patrols. Going there would be suicide. Still, he couldn't walk away now. He sighed, adjusting the strap of his rifle. "Fine, I'll help you. But only until we reach your sister. After that, you're on your own." The child's eyes glistened. She nodded quickly, her voice soft but grateful. "Thank you. Thank you, human." They moved through the ruins together, keeping low. The soldier led, scanning the rooftops, while the child followed silently, her small steps careful on the broken ground. As they walked, she spoke quietly, as if afraid the shadows might hear her. "My sister. Her name is Lyra. She is older than me, stronger too. But when the raiders came, she pushed me away and told me to run. I didn't want to leave her, but she made me. She said I had to live." Her voice cracked and she lowered her head. "I don't want to live without her." The soldier glanced at her. He saw himself in those words. He had lost comrades, friends, brothers in arms. People he had wanted to save, but couldn't. The memory of their faces haunted him even now. He understood her pain more than he wanted to admit. "Then we'll get her back," he said simply. The child looked up at him, her silver eyes shining with hope again. "You mean it?" He didn't answer directly, just kept moving forward, but the promise was already there. They passed through the skeleton of a burned transport ship. The air was heavy, every step echoing too loud. Suddenly the soldier raised a hand, stopping the HFY Arrow voices. Two raiders walked along the wreckage, their armor mismatched, their weapons scavenged. They laughed cruelly, speaking in harsh tones. One carried a sack that wriggled. Inside, something small moved. The girl gasped softly. The soldier's hand shot up, covering her mouth before she could make a sound. Her eyes filled with panic, but she stayed quiet. The soldier waited, his breath steady. The raiders passed, laughing, unaware of the two hiding in the shadows. When they were gone, he lowered his hand. The girl whispered, "They take more children." The soldier nodded grimly. All the more reason to move fast. They reached a ruined bridge that spanned a river of black poisoned water. Half the bridge had collapsed, leaving a narrow, dangerous path. The soldier tested it, then motioned for the girl to follow. Halfway across, the wind picked up, howling through the broken beams. The child stumbled, her small hands slipping. She let out a cry as her foot slid on the edge. Without thinking, the soldier grabbed her wrist, pulling her back to safety. She pressed against him, trembling, whispering, "Thank you." He looked at her for a moment, then looked away. "Don't thank me yet. We're not there." At last they reached a rise overlooking the alien dome. The structure glowed faintly in the distance, surrounded by guards and scavenger machines. From inside came the faint sound of children crying. The girl's face twisted with fear and determination. "She's in there. My sister. I can feel her." The soldier narrowed his eyes. He could already see the patrol routes, the weak points in the perimeter. He began to plan. But before he could speak, a sudden howl tore through the night. The ground shook again. From the shadows of the ruined city, more of the raiders' machines began to move toward the dome. The soldier tightened his grip on his rifle. The child whispered, her voice barely audible, "They're coming to take her away." The soldier exhaled slowly, steadying himself. He knew what had to be done. "Then we move now," he said. And with that, the real rescue began. The alien dome glowed faintly in the distance, like a dying star swallowed by shadows. Broken towers surrounded it, their jagged tips reaching toward the sky like claws. The soldier crouched behind a slab of concrete, scanning the area with sharp eyes. The alien child knelt beside him, clutching her torn cloak tightly. Her glowing silver eyes never left the dome. "That's where they keep her," she whispered. "I can feel her. She's calling to me." The soldier said nothing. He watched the patrols, raiders with crude weapons, machines stomping through the rubble, and searchlights slicing across the ruins. The dome was more than just a prison. It was a fortress. "Getting in won't be easy," he muttered. The child looked at him, desperate. "You promised." He tightened his grip on his rifle. "I don't break promises." They moved carefully, staying low in the ruins. The soldier knew how to move unseen. Every step was measured, every pause chosen. The child followed as best she could, her breaths quick, her small frame trembling but determined. The closer they came, the more dangerous the ground became. Cracks split the earth, spewing foul smoke. Pools of black water bubbled with poison. The soldier led her across a collapsed walkway, motioning her to stay silent. Above, a raider machine scanned the ground with a burning red eye. The soldier waited until its gaze moved away, then pulled the child across quickly. She stumbled once, but he caught her before she could fall. "Quiet," he whispered. Her silver eyes widened as she looked at him. She nodded. They reached the outer wall of the dome. Its surface was cracked, ancient, covered with strange glowing veins. Raiders had patched it with steel plates and barbed wire, turning it into a cage. The soldier examined it carefully. "Too many guards at the front," he said. His eyes moved to the side, where a collapsed tunnel led beneath the dome. "We'll try there." The child followed him into the tunnel. Darkness swallowed them, the air damp and cold. Water dripped from the ceiling. Their footsteps echoed too loudly, and each sound felt like a shout in the silence. Halfway through, the girl froze. Her body stiffened, her eyes glowing brighter. "She's close," she whispered. "I can feel her pain." The soldier looked at her sharply. "How?" The girl placed a trembling hand on her chest. We share a bond. My people can feel each other, especially sisters. She's afraid. She knows I'm coming." The soldier studied her for a moment, then nodded. "Good. That means she's alive." They pressed on, but as they neared the exit of the tunnel, voices echoed ahead. Raiders. The soldier held up his hand, motioning the girl to stay back. He crept forward silently, pressing against the tunnel wall. Two raiders stood at the entrance, their crude weapons slung across their backs. They spoke in harsh tones, laughing about their captives. The soldier's eyes narrowed. Without a word, he moved like a shadow. A flash of steel, a swift strike. One raider fell without a sound. The second turned, startled, but the soldier's rifle butt struck him hard, silencing him instantly. The child's mouth fell open as she watched. She whispered, "You fight like no one I've seen before." The soldier wiped his blade and said nothing. He only motioned her to follow. They emerged from the tunnel into the dome's lower levels. The place was a nightmare. Cages lined the walls, filled with alien children, weak and afraid. Strange machines hummed, wires running into the cages. Raiders moved about, some guarding, some working on the machines. The child gasped softly, tears welling in her eyes. "So many," she whispered. The soldier's jaw tightened. This wasn't just about her sister anymore. The raiders were capturing dozens, maybe hundreds, If they weren't stopped, it would spread beyond this ruined city. The girl clutched his sleeve. "We must find her. Lyra, please." The soldier scanned the cages. Then he saw it. One at the far end, reinforced with glowing restraints. Inside, a girl slightly older than the child knelt, her body weak but her eyes fierce. Her silver gaze was the same, though dimmed with exhaustion. "Lyra," the child breathed, tears spilling. But before they could move, an alarm blared. A red light filled the dome, painting everything in crimson. The raiders shouted, rushing to grab weapons. The machines roared to life. The soldier cursed under his breath. "They know we're here." The child's small hand gripped his arm tightly. "We can't stop. We must reach her." The soldier raised his rifle, his eyes burning with determination. He had seen many battles, he had lost many things, but now, looking at the girl's desperate face, he knew there was no turning back. "Stay behind me," he said, voice steady. "No mo. At or what?" The raiders charged. The soldier opened fire, his shots echoing through the dome. Sparks flew, cages rattled, and children screamed. The child clung to his back, her glowing eyes fixed on her sister's cage. Lyra raised her head, her lips moving silently as if calling out. The younger child whispered back, "I'm coming, sister, I'm not leaving you." The soldier fought like a storm, but more raiders poured in, their machines stomping closer, the air filled with smoke, light, and chaos. And still, at the heart of it all, the alien child's voice whispered like a flame against the darkness. "Human, don't stop. Please, save her." The alarm wailed through the dome like the scream of a dying beast. Red lights pulsed across the walls, turning shadows into monsters. Raiders shouted in their harsh voices, rushing toward the intruders. Cages rattled as alien children cried out in fear. The soldier stood tall in the chaos, rifle raised, his body steady. The alien child crouched behind him, clutching his cloak tightly, her silver eyes wide with both fear and trust. "Stay close," he said, voice like steel. Then the first wave of raiders came. Crude armor, jagged blades, scavenged guns. They poured through the smoke like hungry wolves. The soldier fired. His shots were precise, each one finding its mark. One raider dropped, then another, then a third before the rest even realized what they were facing. The child gasped as she watched. She had seen humans fight in the war, brutal, merciless. But this was different. The soldier fought not with rage, but with sharp focus. Every move was measured. Every strike was meant to protect. A raider lunged with a blade. The soldier sidestepped, grabbing the attacker's wrist and slamming him into the ground with bone-breaking force. Another raised a gun, but the soldier's rifle butt cracked across his face before the trigger went as pulled. The child's eyes shone. "You fight like no one else." The soldier didn't answer, his attention never wavered. But the raiders were many. More poured from the upper levels, shouting, firing. Sparks lit the air as bullets and plasma beams ripped across the dome. The soldier ducked behind a broken console, pulling the girl with him. "We can't fight them all head-on," he muttered. He scanned the dome, spotting the control panel near the cages. If he could reach it, he might release the locks. But between him and the panel stood at least a dozen raiders and 2 stomping machines. The girl grabbed his sleeve. "My sister, she's in there, please." The soldier's jaw tightened. He leaned out, firing controlled bursts, forcing the raiders back. Then he looked at her. "Do you trust me?" She blinked, startled by the question. "Yes." "Then stay behind me, no matter what happens." He moved. Explosions ripped across the floor as he lobbed a stolen grenade at the machines. The blast sent one crashing down in flames, its red eye dimming. The other staggered, sparks flying. Raiders screamed as fire spread. The soldier surged forward, cutting through them like a storm. A blade slashed across his armor, denting the plating. He grunted, elbowed the attacker in the face, and dropped him with a brutal kick. Another raider tried to grab the child, but the soldier's rifle barked once, sending the attacker sprawling. Through the smoke and fire, the child followed, her small body pressed close to him. She whispered words in her alien tongue, a prayer for her sister, a plea for the human who fought like a guardian. At last, they reached the control panel. The soldier slammed his fist against it, tearing wires free. Sparks flew as the locks on the cages flickered. One by one, the doors began to open. The children inside gasped, stumbling out. Some cried, some stared at the soldier with wide eyes as if they had never seen a human before. But the battle wasn't over. The second machine roared, stomping toward them, its red eye burning with fury. The soldier turned, ready to fire, but his rifle clicked empty. The child's heart leapt in terror. "Your weapon!" The soldier dropped it without hesitation and grabbed a jagged metal rod from the floor. His eyes hardened. Weapons don't win fights. Will does. He charged. The machine swung its massive arms, smashing concrete. The soldier rolled aside, then leapt onto its leg, climbing fast. Sparks flew as he jammed the rod into exposed circuits. The machine howled, thrashing wildly. The child watched, her small hands clutching her chest. Her voice trembled, but her eyes blazed. You can do it. Human, you can do anything. The soldier ripped free a cable and drove it into the machine's core. With a final scream of tearing metal, it exploded in a shower of sparks, collapsing into the dirt. The dome shook. Smoke and dust filled the air. Raiders froze, staring in disbelief. Their leader snarled, barking orders, but fear spread among them. The soldier dropped from the wreckage, covered in dust, eyes burning like fire. He stood tall, unbroken. The alien child ran to him, clinging to his arm. "You did it," she cried. He only nodded, breathing hard. Then his gaze turned toward the reinforced cage at the far end. Inside, Lyra stirred. Her silver eyes opened weakly, meeting her sister's through the smoke. "Sis?" the child whispered, tears spilling down her cheeks. She pressed against the soldier's side. "She's there. We found her." The soldier's eyes narrowed. The hardest part was still ahead. The raider leader would not let them take her without a fight. He raised his chin, scanning the dome filled with fire, children, and enemies. His voice was low, steady, unshaken. "This isn't over. It's just begun." And with those words, the human prepared for the next battle. The dome burned with smoke and fire. Children huddled in corners, their cages broken, their frightened eyes fixed on the human who had fought like a storm. The soldier's chest rose and fell with steady breaths. His armor cracked, his hands bloodied, but he still stood tall. Beside him, the alien child clung to his arm, her silver eyes shining through the smoke. She pointed toward the far end of the dome, where the largest cage stood, reinforced with glowing chains. Inside, her sister Lyra stirred weakly. "There," she whispered, voice trembling. "That's her. My sister." The soldier's gaze locked on the cage. The air seemed heavier there, humming with strange energy. He tightened his grip on his weapon, scanning the path. Raiders still swarmed the upper walkways, shouting orders, scrambling to restore control. And above them all, a voice boomed, sharp and cold. "Human." The soldier froze. The child clutched his cloak tighter, fear flickering across her face. From the shadows above, the raider leader stepped into view. His armor was scavenged but ornate, decorated with trophies from past kills. His helmet glowed with crimson lines, and in his hand he carried a weapon too advanced to be raider-made, a plasma halberd stolen from some forgotten war. "You dare come here to my domain," the leader growled, his voice carrying across the dome. "You dare steal what is mine?" The soldier raised his chin, unshaken. "They're children, not yours." The leader laughed, a harsh grating sound. "Children? No, they are tools, weapons. Your kind fought wars to the death. Why should I not use their gifts for my own?" His crimson gaze shifted to the alien child beside the soldier. "And you brought me another prize. Good. I will take her too." The child's grip on the soldier's cloak tightened. Her voice broke. "Don't let him." The soldier placed a hand on her shoulder, steady and Kate's. "Lum, stay behind me." The raider leader raised his halberd, and the lights of the dome flickered. Guards cheered from the catwalks, their courage restored by their commander's presence. The soldier's eyes narrowed. Fighting him now would be suicide with so many enemies still alive. He had to think differently. He crouched near the girl. "We can't beat him head on, but we can outsmart him. You trust me?" She nodded, though her small body shook. "Always." "Good. Then follow my lead." The soldier motioned for the freed children to scatter, creating confusion. Smoke still hung thick in the air, and the fires from the destroyed machines burned hot, casting flickering shadows. Using the chaos, he moved swiftly toward the far end of the dome, keeping low. The raider leader roared in anger as he lost sight of them. "Find them!" Raiders rushed into the smoke, firing blindly. The soldier slipped between cover, dragging the girl with him. Each step was a gamble, each second a risk. They crept closer to the reinforced cage where Lyra waited. But the leader was cunning. His halberd crackled, cutting through smoke, sending arcs of energy across the dome. One beam struck the floor near the soldier, blasting concrete apart. The shockwave knocked the child off her feet. The soldier caught her, pulling her close. His voice was low, steady. "We're not stopping, not now." They pushed forward, hearts pounding, until at last they reached the massive cage. Lyra looked up weakly, her silver eyes glowing faintly as she saw them. She pressed her hands against the bars. "Sis," she whispered. her voice fragile but alive. The younger child pressed close, tears spilling down her face. "I'm here, Lara. I brought him. We'll get you out." The soldier examined the glowing chains. They weren't ordinary locks. Some kind of alien energy bound them, humming with power. His rifle wouldn't break them. His blade wouldn't cut them. He frowned. Behind them, the raider leader's heavy steps grew louder. His laughter echoed through the dome. "You think you can take her from me? Foolish human. She is worth more than 100 lives. She will be the weapon that brings this galaxy to its knees." The soldier turned slowly, placing himself between the cage and the approaching leader. He stood tall, unshaken, though the odds were grim. "You'll never have her," he said coldly. The leader raised his halberd. "Then you'll die with her." The soldier's grip tightened on his weapon. The child's heart raced, her voice trembling as she whispered, "Human, don't let him win." The dome crackled with energy, the fires burning hotter, the raiders closing in. The moment stretched, heavy with dread and resolve. The soldier exhaled slowly, steadying himself. He had faced war, death, and impossible odds before. But this was different. This was not about victory. It was about protecting what was right, even if it cost everything. He looked once at the child beside him, then at the sister trapped in chains. His voice was low, firm, unbreakable. "Stay strong. I'll buy you time." The raider leader charged, his halberd glowing brighter. The soldier raised his weapon, bracing for the clash. The dome trembled as steel met energy, sparks flying in every direction. Children screamed, chains rattled, smoke swirled. And in that chaos, the real battle began, not just for survival, but for hope. The dome shook as steel met burning energy. Sparks burst in the air when the soldier's weapon clashed with the raider leader's plasma halberd. Each strike lit the shadows, casting brief flashes across the cages and the terrified faces of the children. And the human held his ground, teeth clenched, sweat rolling down his dirt-streaked face. His arms burned with the effort of deflecting each swing. The halberd carved through metal as though it were paper, leaving smoking scars in the floor. The alien child pressed herself against the cage where her sister was trapped. "Please, don't stop, you can beat him," she cried, her voice trembling. The soldier grunted, shoving the raider leader back with a heavy strike. The leader stumbled, then laughed, a deep, cruel sound that echoed through the dome. "Impressive, human," he sneered. "Stronger than most, braver than most, but strength alone will not save you." He gestured, and raiders on the catwalks dragged something forward. A smaller cage wheeled into the center of the dome. Inside, another alien child clutched the bars, crying. The younger sister gasped. "No, they took another one." The leader smiled beneath his crimson helmet. "So many children, so many lives. What is one more? What is one less?" His halberd hummed with energy as he leveled it toward the soldier. "Here is my offer, human. Walk away, leave the sisters, leave these children. Go back to your kind, alive. And I will let this one live." The soldier froze. His chest heaved as he stared at the cage, then at the child beside him, who looked up with wide, desperate eyes. "No," she whispered, shaking her head fiercely. "He lies. He will kill them all anyway." The raider leader's laughter boomed. "Do you trust the word of a child? Or will you trust what you know? Your life is worth more than theirs. You can still escape. You can still live." The soldier's grip on his weapon tightened. His mind screamed at him. The leader might be right. The odds were impossible. Raiders filled the dome. The chains on Lyra's cage glowed with alien energy he didn't know how to break. He could take the chance to flee and survive. That would be the practical choice. The soldier in him knew this. But then he looked at the alien girl at his side, clutching his cloak, her silver eyes burning with hope and fear. He remembered her words, "You are human. Humans protect." His chest tightened. He thought of all the times he had survived while others hadn't. Comrades left behind, innocent lives lost because it was easier to walk away. He had carried that weight for years. Not this time. He lowered his weapon slightly, making it look as though he was hesitating. The raider leader grinned wider, thinking victory was his. "You see, even a human knows when to bow," the leader mocked. The soldier's jaw clenched. His voice was calm, cold, steady. "You're right about one thing." The leader tilted his head. "Oh?" The soldier's eyes burned like fire. "My life is worth more, because I choose to spend it protecting others. That's what makes me human." Before the leader could react, the soldier surged forward with renewed fury. His strike sent sparks flying as steel clashed with plasma. The raider staggered back, surprised by the sudden force. The child cried out, her voice rising above the chaos. Yes, don't give up. The soldier fought with everything he had, his movements no longer about survival, but about defiance. Each strike screamed a single truth. He would not abandon them. The leader snarled, pushing back harder. You fool, you'll die here with them. Then I'll die standing for something you'll never understand, the soldier growled. The clash rattled the dome. Raiders shouted, unsure whether to cheer or flee, the cage chill. Dren pressed against their bars, watching the human fight not for his own survival, but for theirs. But the leader was not finished. With a roar, he shoved the soldier back and slammed his halberd into the ground. Energy ripped across the floor, splitting the dome with blinding light. The shockwave hurled the soldier backward into the rubble. The child screamed, "Human!" Dust and smoke filled the air. The soldier coughed, pushing himself up. His armor was cracked, blood trickling down his face, but his eyes still burned with the same fire. The raider leader loomed above him, halberd raised for the final strike. "Brave words," he hissed, "but words will not save you." The soldier planted his hands against the broken ground, forcing himself up onto one knee. He spat blood and glared up at the leader. "No," he said, his voice low and unshaken, "but choices will." And in that moment, the younger alien sister slipped her small hands through the glowing chains around Lyra's cage. Her silver eyes blazed, brighter than ever before. Energy sparked from her touch, the chains flickering. Lyra stirred, her own eyes glowing faintly in answer. The soldier saw it, the sister's bond awakening. Hope flared inside him. The leader raised his weapon high, roaring in triumph. But the soldier rose to his feet, unbroken, weapon in hand. He met the leader's crimson gaze and whispered, almost to himself, "Not today." The dome erupted once more as human defiance clashed with alien cruelty. And in the smoke and fire, a choice had been made, the kind that could change everything. The dome trembled as the human rose to his feet, battered but unbroken. Blood ran down his cheek, his armor cracked in half a dozen places, yet his grip on his weapon was steady. Across from him, the raider leader raised his halberd, its blade sparking with violent energy. Between them, the alien child clutched the glowing cage where her sister lay bound. Her small hands pressed against the chains, her silver eyes blazing brighter than ever. "Lyra, wake up, please," she cried, her voice raw with desperation. The older sister stirred weakly. Through half-closed eyes, Lyra met her sibling's gaze. The chains flickered, their hum faltering, as if their strength wavered under the pull of the sister's bond. The leader snarled, noticing. "No, she is mine," he charged, swinging his halberd down toward the soldier. Steel clashed with energy once more, sparks exploding into the smoky air. The force of the blow shook the ground, but the soldier held his ground, gritting his teeth. His arms trembled under the pressure, but his eyes never wavered. "You don't own them," he growled, "not while I still breathe." The leader shoved him back, the halberd carving a smoking line in the floor. Raiders above shouted, some cheering, others hesitating. The sight of a single human defying their warlord unsettled them. The child screamed again, pounding the glowing chains with her small fists. "Lyra, fight! I'm here! Don't give up!" Her voice cut through the chaos. Lyra's eyes snapped open, glowing silver like molten light. She placed her hands against the chains. Energy sparked from her skin, the restraints flickering violently. The soldier glanced back, seeing it. The sisters awakening their power together. Hope surged in his chest. He turned back to the leader, determination hardening his features. "All I need to do is give them time," he whispered. The leader roared and struck Agato. "Ein!" The halberd smashed against the soldier's weapon, nearly knocking it from his hands. The soldier staggered, his muscles screaming. But instead of retreating, he stepped forward, shoving the raider leader back with raw human strength. "You want to break me?" he shouted, his voice echoing through the dome. "You'll have to try harder." The raider snarled, swinging again and again, each strike fueled with rage. Sparks lit the air, the floor cracked, and smoke swirled around them. But the human matched him blow for blow, refusing to fall. Behind them, the chains shattered with a thunderous crack. The sisters collapsed into each other's arms, tears streaming down their faces. Lyra held her younger sibling tightly, whispering, "You came back. I knew you would." The younger child sobbed. "I brought him. He's our protector." The sisters' eyes glowed brighter together, silver light flooding the dome. Raiders shielded their faces, shouting in panic. Machines sparked and malfunctioned, their circuits burning under the strange energy. The raider leader snarled, turning his head toward the light. "No, their power is mine." The soldier struck, his weapon slamming into the leader's chest plate, staggering him backward. "Not yours, never yours." The sisters rose, still holding each other. Their silver glow spread across the cages, snapping locks, freeing more children. One by one, voices joined together, cries of freedom filling the dome. The leader howled in rage and swung his halberd wildly. But this time the soldier was faster. He ducked under the strike, drove his weapon upward, and slammed the raider into the wall with brutal force. The halberd clattered to the ground, its blade sputtering out. The leader gasped, struggling, but the soldier pressed him back, his voice low and fierce. "This ends now." With one final strike, he drove the weapon through the raider's chest plate. The leader let out a choked roar, then collapsed, his crimson helmet cracking open as his body went still. Silence fell for a moment. Then the children cheered. The chains were gone. The raiders who remained dropped their weapons, fleeing in terror. The dome that once echoed with cruelty now rang with cries of hope. The soldier stood over the fallen leader, breathing hard. He turned slowly to the sisters. The younger girl rushed forward and threw her arms around him, sobbing into his armor. "You saved her! You saved us all!" she cried. The older sister approached, her glowing eyes soft but strong. She bowed her head. "Human, we will never forget this. You fought not for your people, but for ours. That is true courage." The soldier looked at them both, his expression unreadable. Slowly he placed a hand on the younger sister's head, steadying her trembling. Then he turned his gaze upward, toward the shattered dome ceiling where the stars shone through the smoke. "I didn't save you because you're aliens," he said quietly. "I saved you because you're children. Because someone had to." The younger sister's eyes filled with tears, but she smiled through them. "Then you are our hero." For a long moment, the soldier stood in silence, the weight of battle still heavy on him. Yet for the first time in years, the heaviness in his chest eased. The children gathered around him, their eyes shining with awe. The sisters stood side by side, their bond stronger than ever. And in that ruined dome, under a broken sky, the legend was born, not of war, not of conquest, but of a single human who chose to protect. The story would spread, whispered among survivors and carried across the stars. Humans could destroy. Humans could fight. But more than anything, humans protect.